Hey, I'm Larry with the CX Mixer podcast. This is episode 4, Everywhere All at Once, Mastering CX Across Channels. On today's episode, I have Logan, head of e-commerce at Wyze, and Jen, director of D2C at Olly Vitamins. We jumped into a lot of topics around how do brands sell not only on their D2C site, but how do they manage retail stores and Amazon? How do you compete with people who are trying to file claims or warranties when they didn't purchase on your exact website? We jumped into a lot about TikTok Shop and the challenges around social selling. It's a great episode. Jump in. Let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome back to the 4th episode of the CX Mixer podcast. I'm super excited today. I'm joined by Logan Dunn, head of e-commerce at Wyze. Thanks for joining, Logan. And Jen Peters, director of DC at Olly Vitamins. Today's episode, I'm really excited about this because I want to jump into the idea of, everywhere all at once, this mastering CX across channels. And I thought you guys would be really great for today's episode because when you think about Wyze and Olly, not only are you successful on your own D2C sites, but you're successful in retail, on marketplace. I know you both are doing stuff on TikTok. So just excited to kind of jump into the conversation today. What I like to do at the beginning is kind of tee up a little bit about sort of where you guys are in your companies and how big your teams are. So Logan, maybe we'll start with you first. Like, how long have you been at Wyze? How big is the CX team at Wyze? Give us a little background on it.
Yeah. So I'm at Wyze. We do consumer smart home products. We sell in omnichannel. So Home Depot, Costco, Walmart, Amazon, of course. And then I run
TikTok.
Yes, we do. Actually, I did. So my team, we do the US and Canada Wyze.com. And then we also do TikTok Shop, US and Mexico. And so as far as team goes, we've probably got, I think we have 9 actual people that are on like our team for the e-commerce or direct to consumer team. But our CX is not actually on that team. And that's one of the omnichannel things that we can talk about today and how CX might be different. And that team is a handful of local to Seattle people that are kind of like managing. And then we've got about between 300 and 400 kind of support. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Pretty big.
Oh yeah, because you guys have some like tech support, right?
Yeah, we actually have to do tech support. That's why CX is different for us because it's tech support stuff. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I think this episode's going to be fun because we've got tech support and we've got health support, right, Jen? Because you
yes, we're not doctors.
Yeah. Give us a little background on yourself and your team.
So I'm the D2C MarTech and Digital Compliance Director at Olly. I've been there about 4 years. If you don't know who Olly is, if you've ever been to Target and turned right, we're always on the first end cap. So we have the square bottles, very distinctive packaging. So we're very similar in structure, except for the IT support piece as Logan, where we do have an e-com team that has several people on it, but then we do have a separate CX team that does handle a lot of different things. I mean, they're not anything super exotic in the D2C world, but a lot of answering questions about people's health issues and, to the best that we can. And also anything that's like safety related and kind of, the fact that we're supplements, we're highly regulated by the FDA. So the kind of support that we have to offer is like very specific to what we sell.
Followed by like a macro at the end that's like, remember, we are not doctors.
Exactly. That is exactly true.
Yeah, I think obviously I've got kids. We've all got kids. We were just joking before we started recording that we're all fans of Olly. I think everybody, like you guys have done such a great job of capitalizing those end caps at Target. I was just there last night. My son's heading off to summer camp and we were there and I saw one that was like stress-free kids or something. And I'm like, oh, I should just grab that.
It's
I know. I'll like hold an Olly package and then I'll hold like another package and I'll be like, and I'll pick Olly because I'm like, it's just prettier. I have to have this.
Oh, thank you. I love it. That never gets old, honestly. It never gets old.
Yeah, I know. It's very distinctive. I love it.
And the thing I love about too, when I think about like when we jump into a little bit about your guys' products and how you market, I think when I think of Wyze, everybody thinks cameras, but I'm actually obsessed with like your smart home products. And Logan knows this. I was trying to get their smart scale for forever and it would sell out on TikTok Shop. Somebody would do a video about it. It would sell out on TikTok. from your e-commerce store, and then
Hmm.
I'd have to wait 6 months, and you'd text me, be like, "It's back in stock," and then when I'd go back, it'd be gone. I finally got one, love it, but it's just kind of crazy. I think that's sort of a good transition here for the theme of the show. I'm kind of thinking about, when a customer buys products from, retail, you mentioned all the different stores that you guys are in, retail, marketplace, social selling, right? All these things, your own D2C store. It's really kind of anything but simple when it comes to CX. And so when I'm kind of framing up the idea of this episode, maybe we'll start with you, Logan. What's one place where you think that CX often breaks down when brands like Wyze or Olly or anybody is selling on multiple channels?
Um, I think that warranty claims is a place where it breaks down, because from the D2C side, we have all of their order history. It makes it really easy. There's a lot of plug and play tools that can go in, like enter your order number, automatic processing. But as soon as you start to get the whole, like, oh yeah, we bought on Amazon or we bought in the Home Depot, you have to handle those a little bit differently. And so the post purchase, you have to think a little bit more broad from the post purchase and CX side. Um, and that entails everything from comments. It also is like syncing reviews, syndicating them throughout, responding to syndication on reviews. It just adds scale, and then it adds martech complexity as well, because you have to find tools that go across various different martech, like our own and other companies. I don't know how it relates to you, Jen.
I mean, really similar. I think for us, some of the channels are more complicated than others.
Yeah.
Like resolving an issue with Amazon can often start with a customer contacting Amazon first, and then
Mhm.
Amazon saying, "We're not going to help you with that," and then contacting us. So it's like you're already at a disadvantage by the time you come to us because you've already had that "I have to tell my story twice" moment, which is the
Oh,
worst in
absolutely.
CX. Like everyone hates that. So I think kind of like getting out ahead of that has been really hard for us. And Amazon kind of goes back and forth on whether they're going to provide support or not. So we kind of
Mhm.
don't really know at any given time what that experience might have been like for the customer before they came directly to us. But I think that it's I mean, I kind of was thinking about that question in terms of channel, and I think Amazon's probably the biggest gap for us just because they do what Amazon does and there's not much you can do to control it. In
Yeah.
terms of, other kinds of contacts, like if you buy our product in a retail store, our contact information is it's on the package. Like you said, if you buy in our D2C store, like we already know everything about you and we have every single tool available to help you, and it's great. I think one of the biggest challenges for us is making sure our team is trained on all these different things.
Mm.
Because there's so many martech tools that we use. There's so many layers that you add on to what you're using to process inquiries and questions. It's a lot. And then there are always tools that don't integrate into that. Like if you run subscriptions like we do through D2C, that's
Hmm.
kind of a different interface. If you use package insurance, that's a different interface. So there's just so many things that your team has to feel really confident about in their training and kind of like their use of that it's hard to keep track of all of that sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The subscription thing is really interesting because we have like everything you just talked about, but with subscriptions, like we also do software subscriptions. So we've got
Cool.
people can subscribe, and it just looks like one subscription
Mhm.
for the customer, but they can subscribe in Apple, Google, Amazon,
Oh.
D2C, but for the customer, it has to look like they're subscribing to Wise. But really, we have 5 different systems connected to our subscription management software, so it gets very, very complex very fast.
Oof.
Yeah, because I was thinking when you were explaining that, Jen, I'm like, there's so much, two totally separate products, so much overlap, right? Wise
Mhm.
has this digital subscription, you have this D2C health subscription,
Mhm.
right? And then also, like, when I think about returns or exchanges, I'm assuming Ollie's not doing a ton of returns. You can't resell the product.
No, we don't generally. I like to think that we use the Chewy model of just please donate it, give it to your friend, do something
Yeah,
with it. If you don't, because we have a 30-day guarantee. So if you don't like it or if you don't feel like it's working for you, like we're going to refund your money. And then we also don't want it back. You can
right.
do whatever you would like to do with it. Maybe someone else in your family would really enjoy it. So yeah,
Well, and for
returns are
Logan, you guys are refurbishing a lot of products, right? If somebody returns something because there's an issue, it's like sometimes you want it back, sometimes you don't as well.
Yeah, consumer electronics, you can fix it. So that's another whole like CX thing. We're actually working on developing a program right now where it's like give your camera to your neighbor, and like how do we track that and help people, because the return shipping is almost not worth it. So
Mhm.
Right.
we're like, how can we and really it stems from the same idea of what like you mentioned, Jen, with Ollie, and then also with Chewy. I love Chewy, and you see so many social comments about how they are just like, oh yeah, just donate it, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're going for, rather than have waste. We're saying like, well, it probably still works. You're just upgrading, so give it to someone else.
Mhm.
And so trying to manage an experience around that has been interesting, but we're hoping to get something like that off the ground too.
I love
Yeah, I
that.
think that's interesting. Like when you guys think about the health side of things, when you think about the electronic sides of things, there's a lot of places that you can't just go ship back something that's got a battery in it or something, right? So
Mhm.
you're kind of like trying to figure out how to manage that and whatnot. I think this is a good transition into our first segment, which is the CX playbook. So I think for this one, we really want to dive into like what's one real tactic or process that you've implemented to help bring consistency across your different sales channels. And I think, Jen, maybe this is a good one for you to start with because you were kind of talking about that Amazon piece.
Yes.
What's a process that Ollie's leveraging to kind of tackle all these different areas for some consistency?
It's our biggest challenge. I mean, I think I said this earlier, we were just chatting. Like, there's a reason you don't see a lot of CPG brands doing D2C. It is really hard. And
Yeah.
there is a limit to how much you're ever going to be able to do in your D2C space. When you I mean, like you can buy our products at the gas station, at the airport. I mean, it's really tough to compete against that. The biggest challenge we have is really uniting the experience for the customer across channel. Like, we are in a lot of channels, we're in a lot of digital channels, we're in a lot of retail channels. Our business is still very much a brick and mortar business at the end of the day. That's kind of who we are, it's who we've always been. Um, and the experience that you have when you shop at Walmart or Target is very different than all the bells and whistles and everything you get when you shop on our D2C channel. We were talking about D2C is so easy. You can see everything, you capture every piece of data, you see money in, you see money out, you know ROAS, you know everything. But when you get into brick and mortar and you get into omni-channel and channel shifting, suddenly you don't know anything. And our biggest challenge this year is kind of trying to figure out where do customers go? What is churn? What is channel shift? And how can we bring the experience in each channel closer to the one that we have in the D2C space? So the way we're doing that is through our loyalty program. So we have a loyalty program through FenBuy. It's very much like your kind of standard D2C. You earn points, you redeem the points for dollar off your order or whatever kind of program. But we've introduced this year a receipt scanner so that people that
Nice.
are in the store can also be in the loyalty program without having to be a D2C shopper. So it's a project that's in process. We're probably about halfway through. One of the things we're working on right now is like, how do you make it so easy for a customer to create a loyalty account while standing in an aisle that it's only one click or two clicks? That's kind of the key piece of the success here, is making it so easy that customers will do it. Um, but we want to be able to reward customers that are shopping in the store. Right now, they're not getting rewards. They're getting a Target experience, they're getting a Walmart
Right.
experience, and there's not anything that we're doing that's bringing them to the brand and making them feel close to us. And so we're really leveraging everything we have in the loyalty space to try to do that better.
And I think people don't realize some of the downsides when you're a brand that's heavy in brick and mortar is a lot of people don't realize how many other products you actually have,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you're
So
impacted
true.
by inventory, whatever
Mhm.
that brand is, whatever that retailer is choosing to carry. Some people might only know you from those individual on the go gummies from the airport in Vegas, right? I think back to Shop Talk,
Exactly.
people were like giving out vitamin C, like
We always bring a lot of samples to Shop Talk. It's
yeah,
important. Everyone needs them.
everyone needs like a little hit of a multivitamin. But I think like you guys have so many different variations of vitamins that can match what you're looking for. And so figuring out ways to drive them back to the
Mhm.
website is so important for you because Logan, you guys have a little bit of maybe you're going to tell me it's not easier, but people who purchase a camera or something from a retail store, they often have to come back to your website to subscribe anyways, right? For the monitoring and stuff. Do you find that it's easier to drive people back to your website to gather the information that Jen's often missing out on?
Well, so I was like nodding and agreeing with Jen a lot, because we still face a lot of the same issues. And it's because of channel loyalty. Like if you're used to buying, I'm going to put words in your mouth, maybe a little, Jen, but like if you're used to buying at Target, you like the Target experience, you want to just keep buying at Target, you know?
Mhm.
And that's kind of how it is with us too. Like if you're used to buying on Amazon or at the Home Depot, you get really loyal to your channel. And so converting people over to come into our own direct to consumer experience where we have a little bit more control is still a big challenge. And that is one of our core metrics we look at, because we have a little bit, I tell people it's a cheat code because, and it's not because you have to get the subscription, it's because you have to actually sign up to use the app. Right. Most of our products being smart home, you actually have to put it onto your account and then you manage it there. So we get to see, I mean, I think it's like 95+% of our SKU catalog binds to an account. So we get basically information for every customer, regardless of retail channel. Each and every device actually has a unique MAC address. So we can actually just say like, hey, this group of MAC addresses we sold to Amazon. These ones we sold to Home Depot. These ones we sold to Costco. And so we're able to see that data. And then we're also able to see, hey, was this Costco device their first device, or was it an add-on device? And for most people in the consumer goods category, they're like, oh my gosh, that's like gold for customer experience. We want that so bad. And the sacrifice that we make is we don't have consumables. We have 2-year lifespans for our products at least, right? Most of them actually last 4 to 5 years, but it's usually about 2 years before customers are like, hey, I'm going to upgrade. And so that's our problem, is we only have a limited amount that we can sell to customers. But the big cool like innovation that we've been working on for customer experience relates back to that. So we've created a customer journey map that includes most all of our customers and is the experience we ideally want. And it's based on like, do you have a camera or not? Because that's where we attach our subscription. So we see people who enter through the scale, 82% new customers. Yeah. And so then we're like, okay, how do we get them then into cameras? And if they have one camera, how to get them to 2? And usually want to get them to more cameras before we start pushing subscription. So we've got these separate cohorts that we follow, and we're creating a more complex, like with our MarTech stack, like basically like, here is the funnel. At which point do we offer rewards? We're A/B testing which rewards during which phase. And that's actually where we get a lot of our benefit. And then one of our North Star metrics for our team, not for the company, is how many people do we convert from not buying on Wyze.com to buying on Wyze.com? Because we get to see that metric. We get to say, look at all these people. And we actually see consumer metrics, not just sales metrics, which is really beneficial. And then we can say, oh, yep, that customer bought here because we see the device bought on this site tied now to their account. So we got a lot of really, really cool data to work with. And it's then how do we craft a really compelling experience? And that means that our team, with our owned channels that we manage, like I have all the campaign managers and email, social, SMS people on our team. Like we really handle the branded experience for the company. And of course the channels handle that, but like how do we communicate who we are? So we have like in our onboarding letter from the founders and things like that to really build a more positive customer experience.
Jen, so when you're bringing people back to the website for this loyalty thing, are you then trying to target them for more products on, like, drive them back to your website, or are you trying to drive them back to the store?
I mean, I think that's one of the trickiest things about omnichannel business is that you have a lot of people you have to make happy. And, your retailers are a really big part of the people you need to make happy. And so it is always a balance of, making Walmart happy and also getting the first party data that you would like and making your customers happy. And it's constantly a balancing thing. But I would say for us, we're not trying to channel shift anyone. And that's kind of part of the agreement that we went into this accepting, because we do need Walmart support. We do need Target support and kind of helping us build out this loyalty program. And what we don't want them to feel is like we're trying to take their customers and move them to another channel. We don't want that. And our products are relatively inexpensive. So there is this, like, I just want to grab it when I'm at the grocery store. I just want to grab it when I'm already at Target.
Impulse buy.
And we don't want to stand in the way of that. That is not our goal. But what we do want to do is to be able to know who everyone is and then be able to message them accordingly. So to be able to email the group of people that shop at Walmart and say like, hey, Walmart is doing this great mental health awareness month event in a store near you. You should go into Walmart. Then we're kind of like personalizing that message for somebody that we know is a store shopper instead of, harassing them to continue to try to buy on our website. But generally that makes Walmart happy too. We want to be able to drive customers that shop in store into the store. But if
Yeah.
we don't know who they are, we can't do that.
Yeah, I love that. I think that like it's your product and Wyze is like the difference is Ollie can be an impulse buy, right? You can be like,
Mhm.
"Oh,
Yeah.
I'm feeling a certain way and I want to buy this."
13.99. It's
But like
okay.
I with smart home, you do a lot of research, and I think this is transitioning into the second segment of the CX confession
Mhm.
booth. I have a little confession. I'm the worst consumer. I research everything on brand's website, and then Logan, to what you were saying, I go in to the store that I'm most comfortable with and make the purchase, right? Because I also have I'm a very impatient consumer.
Mhm.
I think Wise, you do a great job of like if someone's researching on your website, and I know because like I'm on your website all the time talking to brands, but like if you order in the next hour and 30 minutes, you can get it by this day. And that to me, as an impatient consumer, is a lot more helpful.
Mhm.
But I'm like the worst where I'm researching and then I go to where I want to talk to people. But I think for this second segment where we talk about this CX confession booth, this is a chance for you guys to like share a little bit of something that you've learned, some mistakes that you've made. I think, be a little vulnerable, or I like to call it like a yep, that blew up on me type of a moment. But what's one channel related mistake you've made or something that you underestimated when managing CX across these multiple environments? And Logan, I'll start with you first.
Oh man, I
Put
mean
you on the
there are,
spot here.
yeah, I mean there's a lot of mistakes that I've made. I mean, I think that every professional business, the longer they get in, their mistakes just chalk up. That's why you hire people that have the experience, right? It's really from these mistakes. The one that comes to mind is, and I think this is true for everyone, but we're very much trying to be like on the cutting edge of how do we do Gen AI to help with the CX. Um, and I rushed in, put a tool in. Um, it was looking like it was getting great results. We signed a really big agreement with them. A big meaning expensive, and with very very high hopes. And the truth is, and we got into a year contract. We knew we didn't want to do more than a year, but
Mhm.
it's pretty normal for SaaS anyway. And you know while the metrics do look really good there, we're not feeling that incremental boost that we really wanted from that. And what we're seeing is like, hey, the people who engage with our Gen AI tool on the site, our shopping concierge, is like they're already have pretty high intent to buy if they're going to do that. And so it's a correlation causation thing. And so that was one mistake that I made, was rushing into that. And I learned from that, especially with Gen AI, don't lock yourself in to long-term agreements in something that is so changing so rapidly. I mean, I
Yeah.
think everyone's like, oh yeah, duh, that makes sense. But I mean, I thought the same thing and only locked into a year. And I was like, that was too long
Mm.
with this very, very rapid field.
Yeah. So you think committing to a long contract, is there anything that you would have asked differently during the discovery process to see if it was the right fit for you?
Probably just more A/B testing on it. We did do A/B tests, and the data looked good, but I wish it would have just slowed down a little bit. But there was just such a rush, like, no, no, we got to get Gen AI put in. Now, this is totally separate from the tools that we're using. We're seeing very positive results on Gen AI on our support side, and we chose to use different Gen AI tools rather than try and find one tool to do everything. We like put a different tool in for support.wise than we put in for sales,
Mm-hmm.
and really, that's just because even though they can kind of overlap, we wanted to explore our options. And we're seeing a ton of success on like ticket reduction, self serve, on the support side, both on the more complex electronics questions and then especially on the order stuff.
What about you, Jen? What's something for Ollie that you've want to confess, some mistake that you made or something that you learned?
I'm going to say this is not the case at Ollie, but it's very common. So before I was at Ollie, I was at an agency where I built stores for brands. So I'm a Shopify developer and I built stores for mostly food, beverage, some like protein, powder, diet kind of, all replenishable type of brands. One of the things I saw the most that was a real concern in the omnichannel space is building out your team in a way where you're pitting channels against each other.
Mm,
So if you've got a channel owner that owns Amazon, and you've got one that owns D2C, and you've got one that owns Walmart, one that owns Target, one that owns Lowe's, and you're making them all compete against each other and holding them to revenue numbers that are
Or
very,
inventory.
very channel specific. You're making them compete for inventory.
Yeah.
Exactly. What you're going to create is a broken team. And I think one of the most dangerous things in omnichannel business is siloing of businesses and siloing of channels. And it is almost impossible to come back from it if you structure your team that way. And I do think that feeling and that strategy of when we win, we all win has to come from the top, and it has to be part of kind of your overall like ethos of your brand and the way you've kind of structured out your merchant team. But at the same time, like there are things you can do to where you create an environment where channels all help each other versus like you pitting them against each other, thinking that that's going to get you some kind of result because you're driving competition. Really, at the end of the day, the only person who's suffering from that is your customer because they're kind of like, what is happening?
Yeah.
Why do I feel like your channels are fighting over me? Like it
Yeah,
feels
so well
weird.
said.
It feels really icky. So, I think that's from an organizational, like a perspective of just how you build out your team as your business is growing. Just be really, really careful that you're not pitting channels against each other because that is only going to blow up in your face later on down the road.
I think that's good advice no matter what industry you're in. I think I see that a
Mhm.
lot in SaaS as well, right? Where I talk to brands who, I mean, I obviously work for Parcel Lab in my full-time job, but it's like I talk to brands who are working with other people and they're like, oh, all these technologies interconnect, but then when you have an issue, it's like, oh, you got to talk to this person, you got to talk to this person. And then you go into that company and then they're like, oh, you got to talk to this person who handles this and this person who handles this. You as a brand don't feel good when you're working with companies that are like that. Your customers don't feel good. That's good advice, just kind of all around.
Yeah. It's like, I want you to care about me, not about what the specifics of my problem are.
Yeah. And I love that it's like top down, what
Mhm.
Jennifer said with like top down. I think that's so, so true. You have to, like, if you don't have leaders that are like, hey, it doesn't matter. Like, it's about the customer. It's about, just making it easy for
Mhm.
them. So if they want Amazon, then let them do Amazon. And I have seen that as we've struggled with that challenge. So yeah, so well said.
You made a little joke about inventory. Is there like a hot take on inventory?
Oh no, we always, especially for product launches, I have on the direct to consumer, since we have just a very robust email SMS list, we do most of the inventory at the start, but Amazon really likes to take in a lot of inventory, and I think it's for this exact reason. So Amazon is a channel, and I'm not talking about like our Amazon internal person who leads Amazon. I'm talking about like Amazon as a company. When you sell direct to Amazon, which I'm sure Ollie does too, it's like they as the 1P retailer, they're like, they have a program called Born to Run where they like
Mhm.
they will just ingest 12 weeks of coverage right at the start, so that they make sure they have it in case it ramps fast. And Amazon takes on that inventory risk, but what it means is you have to come up with a lot of inventory during a product
Mhm.
launch, like tens and tens of thousands, up to 100,000 plus units for our size, which is a huge challenge. And so then we're usually debating over inventory.
Yeah.
Hey, no, I need this. No, I
That's
want
so
this.
true.
And yeah,
It's so true. And you don't know what Amazon's going to order until they place that order. Like you
correct.
could be really surprised and be like, that is not what we created for this launch, and it could be
Exactly.
a total
Yeah.
mismatch into kind of the way you thought it was going to play out channel wise.
Or if you launch, like, we just did something in May, we launched our Bold Cam. And it's also load in time for Prime Day.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
so the POs that were coming in from Amazon were massive, much bigger than we expected. And so then you have to play inventory roulette. So who gets what?
I was
But
just
really,
talking.
you just want what's best for the customer.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
was just talking to some brands around like, hey, Black Friday, Cyber Monday prep. And they're like, don't even
Mhm.
talk to me about that. What about Prime Day prep? They're like, that's
Yeah,
our big
Yep.
thing. Because even if you're not on Amazon, you're still competing with Prime Day and you're
You
trying to
are.
put your own, like they've kind of created their own rush for stuff like that. So I think that's
Mhm.
something that I was playing around with for future episodes. I might have to to ping you guys on that again. Okay, this segment is, I think this one's going to be a fun one for both of you because you both have a pretty good tech background. So, segment 3 is Designer's Toolbox. What's a tool, platform, internal workflow that's helped you guys keep your CX intact, especially across the retail marketplace, D2C? So, this could be like, maybe even that Amazon buy with Prime that you were talking about, Logan. So, I'll start with you again because I kind of teed you up for it.
The thing that comes to my mind is Snowflake for
Mm,
us.
Mm.
Um, and that's been the big game changer for us in getting a good data team assembled. And that hasn't been my primary responsibility, but I have been responsible for making sure my data makes it clean into Snowflake. But Snowflake has become our CDP. And then we put a tool on top of called RudderStack that is basically just I mean, they say they're a CDP, but they're really just a model that builds on top of Snowflake or whatever warehouse you choose to do your transfer of data. And but the coolest thing ever is just to get really, really smart table structures and get Snowflake. And now Snowflake offers this Cortex Analyst, which is like their new AI products to help people generate tables easier and stuff. But what's really happening is we're starting to get some really, really cool data put together, um, and then start executing on it from the marketing standpoint or from the decision making standpoint with dashboards. And so, kind of as I don't know, lame as it sounds, like Snowflake, like just a really solid data warehouse with good data has been my favorite thing.
I think people talk about these like reporting tools, stuff like that, data. What's something, so you mentioned dashboards, like what's a dashboard that you just love to geek out on then for this?
I just was reviewing this morning our inventory and sales dashboard, and combining the two together is usually way more challenging than anyone realizes because they're always very separate systems. Like I just was talking with our data team. I was like, hey, I actually need to see this table and I need you to sort it by run rates, by average weekly run rates. And then I need you to show me in a table view of out of stock by average weekly run rate. So you're looking at velocity,
Mm.
which is like magnitude of what you're selling. And then you're also looking at inventory status. So what's available, because your whole equation changes, of course, by your sell through. And so we've obviously got our high volume SKUs. And so that's my favorite thing to geek out on, and to just to look at big, beautiful things that are like helping me understand the story of what's flowing, and what our customers are really wanting right then and there. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That is honestly, that's so true. Like you rarely see systems that intersect that way. Like you have an inventory management system, you have an order management system, then you have customer data, and they all live in different places. And to be able
Yeah,
to bring
each
those
one of
things
those
into place,
very different.
that's amazing. Yeah, they're totally, and they're different
Yeah.
mindsets, and the people who operate them are different kinds of people. Be able to bring that to one place is awesome.
Yeah. So designer's toolbox would be, I wish there was one system that did it all, but of course that will
I-
never exist.
Well, when we talk about AI agents, I hear this a lot from brands too. They're like, this AI agent, like Renaissance is great, but then they all don't work with each other
Mhm.
sometimes,
Oh,
right? So then you have these
totally.
like, they're like, someone needs to create, maybe this is like a hot take, someone needs to create a product that then brings all your AI agents into one place, like a workforce management, like an AI agent that just manages your AI agents, or like,
Yeah.
I
like
love
a,
that. It's
like
like
a,
the
Yep.
Waymo parking lot. That's what
yeah,
I'm picturing it looking like all the Waymos trying to park themselves at the same time.
exactly. Like,
Yes,
it's
that's
like,
right.
hey, you just manage this one guy who then manages everybody else.
Oh my gosh, I
Um,
love that view, the Waymo parking lot. To me, that is like such an accurate description of the current AI
The
mess
total
that we
AI
have with
chaos.
data. Yeah.
It's awesome,
the
funny, and beautiful at the same time.
Yeah. You know something good is happening, but
Yes.
you still see all the mess. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
like social videos of like the Waymo cars getting stuck in the roundabouts
It's
Yeah,
over
exactly.
and
Yep.
over and
We
over
have them
again.
in San Francisco, and man, they are funny. They are just endlessly entertaining to me.
Yep.
Yeah, they're not. They haven't quite made it to Minnesota yet, so we don't get to. But I see them when I'm out and about. I haven't gotten to ride one yet, but now I'll think of our AI agent topic. Jen, what's something for you then? What's something in your toolbox that you think helps keep CX intact across all these channels?
My favorite tool right now to unite channels is actually print. Like I'm obsessed with print, and we work with Letter Labs. They're a great partner, and they do like the handwritten looking kind of,
Okay.
which is amazing.
Yeah.
But also they can pivot on any kind of field in Shopify. So you can set up like incredible automations, the same type you would set up in email or SMS. But with print, there's no rules. There are literally no rules. And what's available out there to augment your data, like even if you just have somebody's email address or even if you just have their IP address, what they can do out there legally and match up with public information is really pretty incredible. That's been kind of our methodology of trying to figure out who's in stores right now, is just like, okay, here's a list of people that live 5 minutes away from every Walmart store, and so like being able to message groups like that and target people like that is, it's not as
Like a direct
clean.
mail thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It's not as clean as email because you don't like, oh, well, they opened it, but they didn't convert.
Yeah.
But at the same time, from an awareness perspective, you can do a lot there. And it does sort of, you're measuring more of a halo effect a lot of the time. It doesn't necessarily have a direct attribution that you can see cleanly. But print has been one of those for us where we can kind of do, like, I do digital compliance. I am the
Mhm.
police when it comes to privacy and data and anything, legal related to whatever on the website and how we do business. And so print is like the one place, it's like heaven. There's no rules. You can do anything you want.
You can
And
say what
people are
you
so happy to get print now. They
Yeah,
love it when they get something in the mail, especially if it feels super personalized. And
right.
we're all on this path to personalization. And so what you can do in print is just like a little bit different than what you can do in the digital space. So it's been really fun for us. It's so vast that there are honestly things that I can't even imagine that I know that can be done, but I don't even know to think about that. So they've been really good partners in kind of helping us down the path of here's what we should do first. And here's where we're going. And so that's been a really good one for us to be able to try to hit people in these channels that we normally can't hit through email or SMS.
Yeah, I think marketing is so interesting because it seems very cyclical where it's like, hey,
Totally.
automated. Now we're back to like direct mail when everyone's like
Mhm.
direct mail's dead. I just had this conversation with some friends a couple weeks ago talking about conferences is like everybody's going to get so burnt out on AI. And when you see, ChatGPT, we all know the telltale signs now on LinkedIn when somebody just
Badge, yes.
regurgitated ChatGPT, right? And now I'm like, I loved it when it first came out. Now I'm like, okay, nope, I need to go back to just like
Mhm.
I don't have that great of a vocabulary. I'm not the most interesting person, but people are going to appreciate the authenticity, especially when I'm resharing these podcast posts. It would be so easy to just throw it into ChatGPT.
Mhm.
But we were talking about how like these conferences are going to be bigger and bigger opportunities because you're going to, panels are either well attended, under attended, but now you're going to be looking at that stuff because you're like, I want to actually know what this person's thinking rather than just what they
Mhm.
regurgitated from ChatGPT to kind of like feel like an influencer. And I think that's the interesting piece around like marketing and outreach and networking and all this stuff. And now you saying like direct mail, we had some interesting takes on some episodes previous to this where people were like, I love phone support is like big for me. And then another episode where they were like, phone sucks, we don't want to use phone, I don't want to put my phone number out there. I think there's people that are going to be like, direct mail's great, direct mail's not great. um I think this is just kind of a selfish shout out from like a designer's toolbox set because when I'm thinking about this now as we're talking, so I met Logan through my full-time job at Parcel Lab. I introduced him to Tanner at Order Protection for shipping insurance. Tanner introduced me to Jen to talk about post purchase. I couldn't help Jen with her issue, but then I connected her with Pipe 17 to help with their technology, which is also a technology that Logan uses. So when we
Mhm.
talk about things that are cyclical, it's interesting how like we talk two totally different organizations, but you guys are both leveraging similar technologies in totally different ways, right?
Yeah.
And Tanner and I now are riffing off of that, and they're building us a warranty
Oh, I love
management SaaS. So they're going
Yeah.
to go from order protection to like product protection. But anyway, I love what they're doing with it. But it's so cool because they're like it is kind of like in that circle. I like what you said, Jen. It's like, yep, I know
that.
them, know them, know
Yeah.
them, know them. When I go to the conferences now, I'm just re-meeting the people. You're right, they're moving around.
But I would say too, like, I think the relationship piece is so
Yeah,
important in our business too, because if I'll tell
totally.
you what, I went to Tanner with a problem and I was like, hey, I have this problem. And he was like, here's who can solve it. And I was like, done. If
Yeah.
he recommends somebody to me, I know they're going to be good. Like if you recommended somebody to me, Larry, I would know that they were going to be good. And those relationships, that trust that you have in this business, it can go both ways, but when it's good, it's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what we need to start seeing? We need to start seeing like some of these not like killer expensive softwares like a Snowflake or like,
Mhm.
whatever customer engagement tool you use or your e-commerce management. Like those are mega expenses, I think, from the MarTech stack. But then you've got like um, death by a thousand cuts sometimes
Mhm.
with your smaller MarTech, which is still, ten to $50,000 a year on depending on your size, right? But I would
Mhm.
love to see like conglomerate contracts together,
That'd
like
be
where
cool.
I'm like buying a contract with Pipe 17, Parcel Lab, and Order Protection all in one. And you guys work out the details, but I
Mhm.
Yeah.
get one cost saving agreement that really benefits. But they all also then have this really deep integration
Yeah.
together to do the things that we need,
social selling is such a huge way to talk to people. And I
Mhm.
think that that's the same thing too. If you build a relationship with somebody and they really understand your business, they want to know who you're going to introduce them to, because
Mhm.
you guys also as brands don't want to have to sit through a million
Oh my
fluffy
gosh.
sales pitches to
Yeah.
find
I
out.
mean, one of my first questions anytime we talk to somebody new that has some sort of SaaS or tech or whatever is, what do you integrate with?
Mhm.
And there are these still kind of like legacy companies out there that don't integrate with anybody. And they're like, well, if you want to use our loyalty then and communicate to customers that they have points, then you have to use our SMS and then you have to use our this. And there's no way you can be best in class in everything. Like
Yes,
I want all the best in
That's
class
the problem.
pieces
Yeah.
to fit
Yeah.
together and then I plug it in, right? Like you
Yeah.
don't want to, I mean, I'm fine building out the integrations myself, but like I'm not going to work with a company that's just like you have to use all of our stuff if you want any of the benefits of our stuff. That's not going to happen.
that was a conversation we had on a previous CX Mythbuster, where it's like you can't really be this jack of all trades, master of
Mm-mm.
none,
Absolutely not.
but you have people who want this idea of like a one-stop shop, like we talked about a little bit with your D2C stuff, right? And your retail stuff.
Mhm.
You don't want a siloed experience. So then we're trying to figure out like, yeah, how to have these conversations where it's like brands come and trust us, our products all work together. How do we highlight that better so it's a better fit
Yeah.
for brands?
Absolutely. Yeah. I'd
Yeah.
love to hear
Um, yeah, we'll chat more.
that.
Segment 4, we're getting close to the end here. This has been fun. So this one, I think maybe we target a little bit more on Amazon, since you both, I don't want to put you
Mhm.
guys in a bucket here, but you guys both obviously work with Amazon. But segment 4 is the customer journey spotlight, and I think this is where I like to really kind of focus on like, where do you see the biggest disconnect in the customer journey across channels and how you're solving for it. And a note that I wrote for myself was, and this is just a conversation that I have with brands, is Amazon's such a massive channel for customer acquisition and getting in front of customers, but the biggest piece is missing that like post purchase tailored email journey, right? They're kind of running it, and so you miss out on that communication piece with the customer. So we don't have to talk through that, but like just kind of something that I'm thinking on, like where's something in that customer journey that you guys are solving for that's typically a disconnect for most brands.
Yeah, and Amazon's interesting. So we did our first joint quarterly business review with Amazon because we're very, very big AWS customers. Um, I mean, we run our video stuff off of that, like all of
Mhm.
our video replay and storage and everything. We're big in the one piece space. We're big working with them with their buy with Prime. We use them for 3PL management for one of our 3PLs for D2C, their multi-channel fulfillment. And so we kind of met together like, hey, let's bring all of our Alexa team, since our devices work with Alexa. So like we brought all the Amazon, like they brought us with all of their teams together. And that was really, really cool because we were starting to talk about experience management. And the interesting thing, though, to me was the better experience for the customer was actually saying, like, hey, let's create a really good, unique D2C experience for the people that want D2C. And then
Mhm.
let's create a unique, good experience for the Amazon 1P, like the people who are buying from Wyze on Amazon.com for them, because they want to buy there. They're not buying on Amazon and buying on Wyze.com. I mean, customers are savvy and they shop prices and stuff, but like I've got the ability to market and reach the customers that are already shopping with Wyze.com. And then our Amazon team has the ability to, through Amazon tools, reach those customers. So what we kind of did for the customer experiences, we were like, let's find something that works uniquely for this customer, this channel. And I mean, that's not new at all. I think that's how it's always kind of been. But I think to highlight the whole idea of just like national promo, where every retailer and every in our site, everyone's down, we're finding that actually doesn't work super great. In some ways, it's great for the customer because they could go wherever they don't feel like they're getting cheated.
Mm.
So you don't want to make it to where they're not getting the best offer. You want your customers to always be able to find and get the best offer for sure. But I think that it's really important to provide a really good experience for them elsewhere. And so one thing, like right now with Buy with Prime, we're doing early Prime Day for us for D2C with
Okay.
Buy with Prime. So customers get Prime benefits. They're
Hmm.
getting some unique Prime, and it's for Prime customers. Amazon's linking to us from Amazon.com to Wyze.com,
Mm.
and they're kind of piloting this idea to tell Prime customers, hey, look, you can still get this deal even though it's on Wyze. And that's how Prime is. Prime's everywhere. And that's what they're going for. And we're kind of embracing that idea because we're like, hey, you should get Prime benefits on Wyze.com as well. It's something you pay for. If we can offer it to you here, why not? And so that's a way that we're kind of uniting that customer experience a little bit. And we also get a little more say and control over the Amazon Prime experience because it's on our site. At the same time, though, when it comes to Prime Day, guess what? They're going to be highlighting the Amazon primary deals, and they're going to be focusing on things that are unique and deal tags and coupons and all the things that are good for the Amazon consumer for those days. So I guess it's a tried and true thing of making sure you're meeting the customers where they are, and not just trying to satisfy everyone and in blanket approaches.
Well, and when we talk about that customer experience between you and Amazon, I think back to when we first met a couple years ago, like that's kind of how we got connected is because you had this experience, like people could order on your website, it could get fulfilled by Amazon, but you could also fulfill your own products and it could create a couple different, touch points or friction in the
Yeah,
shipping.
we get multiple shipments.
Yeah,
Mm,
and you were trying
Yeah,
to
like
figure
we'd
out how to
split
solve that.
products, and so they'd get two packages, and so
mm,
we were trying to solve that. So we got Parcel Lab because they say here's all the items in your shipment. Some are coming here, some are coming there.
mhm,
Well, like Amazon ships fast, right? And
Hmm.
sometimes faster than a typical D2C brand. I mean, so when you're shipping from yourself, like you can sometimes end up competing with Amazon on experience when it's on the shipping side, but you still have that like customer experience because they get that product from Amazon and then they're waiting for that other product and they're like, wait, but I ordered from one area because they don't like I'm a savvy consumer in the fact that I understand supply chains now and I understand that like hey, when somebody orders on your website, it could ship, even if you're not using Amazon, it could ship from multiple warehouses to complete your order. But not every consumer knows that. That was something that I learned a lot from you a couple of years ago of just like how to solve that from a customer experience standpoint. And I know you're doing a ton of stuff with Amazon. Obviously, it sounds like you're doing even more with them. And I know you're always kind of like the poster child for their buy with Prime stuff. When we're at the conferences walking around, they're always like, "Hey, it's Logan." Um, but Jen, what about you? What's something that when you look at this customer journey, what's maybe a disconnect and how you're solving it?
Yeah, I kind of wanted to talk about the acquisition part of it, of how you advertise to customers, where you send them channel wise. I think for us, that's been something that we've had to get a lot more sophisticated around, kind of like understanding intent and understanding channel intent, and using your data, using your first party data to retarget those customers to the channel that they're most likely to buy in. So for us, it's like one of the challenges is like we have an Amazon ads team. It is a person at Olly and an agency. And
Hmm.
then we have a paid team that's really kind of brand and D2C that is another team and a different agency. And so a lot of times there can easily be this disconnect about like who's acquiring who and where they're sending them. And are we using the same data, first of all, to make those decisions? Like who's making the call on what we're doing here? And are we working together or are we working in silos? And our teams have been in silos for a really long time. And so the strategy around kind of like the Amazon advertising, remarketing, even acquisition was very different than what we were doing in Google and on paid social and where we were sending customers. Like we use Micmac, which kind of like can determine which channel, lets the customer choose basically which channel they want to go to. And it's fine, but at the same time, we should know. I
Yeah.
feel like that we have enough data to know that. It's just about how do you take the data that you have in your CDP or wherever you might have it and apply that directly to the audiences you're using and pushing to different destinations and where you're driving those customers. So for us, it's like it's still a work in progress. It's not easy because you're kind of trying to figure out propensity of customers to do something in a channel. And
Yeah.
for us, even it can be different depending on the product grouping. It's like people who buy gut health, they behave differently than people who buy like women's wellness or kids products. And so we have kind of this like, grid of customer types, grid of product types, and then grid of behaviors that we kind of have to figure out a really automate a way to merge all of that and then also then be able to immediately apply that data to what we're doing. So it's a work in progress, but it's definitely a place for us where we know that it was broken down and we're definitely working on trying to bring all that together and making it one strategy instead of two strategies.
Yeah, I had a quick question that came to mind. So, from the last segment, you talked about direct mail being really important. And I
Mhm,
like the idea when you're talking about driving retail traffic, saying, hey, who are our customers that live within X miles
mhm,
of a Walmart? How this is me kind of throwing a curveball to you, but like, how do you
mhm.
track success in direct mail, right? Because, like, at least with an email campaign, you can see who clicked the ad, who drove
Yeah.
back, who purchased product. But, like, how are you knowing like how successful it is targeting those people to go to Walmart, or is it just kind of like an extra step that you're just hoping works?
Yeah, it kind of depends on what your objective is. So, like the Walmart example, that's a real example. Like we did a print piece that sent to our people that we know within a 5 mile radius of a Walmart that was celebrating Mental Health Awareness Month. And it was like we didn't have a lot of expectations of that. It was more like, we felt good about it. It's part of our social mission, which is mental health awareness, and also we're kind of like supporting our retailer. So I would say in that case, we didn't have like specific goals tied to that piece. Now, one of the things we did earlier in the year, Q1 for us is our big acquisition time because that's when people are like kind of more focused on their health and they're thinking about their New Year's resolutions. And so Q1 for us is the biggest time of it's like our fourth quarter. We did a program where anytime we had a new customer come in, they got this beautiful personalized print piece. It was like, hey, welcome to our brand. This is how we think about New Year's resolutions. This is how we think about health. Like you do the best you can. Like we have kind of a unique perspective on that. We're not like you should be doing everything all of the time. And
Yeah.
it's really do what you can, feel good, try to make your life a little better. Um, but it was nice because we could also apply that same technology to customers that were coming in new through TikTok Shop who maybe didn't necessarily have that tight of a relationship with our brand anyway. So those we sent out throughout Q1 and they kind of would send the same day that the customer placed their first order. And we had two things. We had a QR code on there that was dynamic to each customer. And that's, I don't make those. Letter Labs makes those. I don't know how they make them, but they do. And it's amazing. And then we also had a promotion code on there that was like, hey, we know you've placed your first order. We hope you love it. We would love to see you subscribe. Here's a promo code for like 40% off of your first subscription order with us.
Nice.
So it's like a combination of the QR code piece and
Yeah.
then also the promo redemption. We could see the ROAS just from the QR codes, which was awesome. But not every use case is that clear. It kind of depends on what the objective is of whatever that specific use case is.
Plus, that's just like a fraction of what the campaign's impacting.
Exactly. So if it's good, it's really good
Yeah.
because there's so much there where, you lost that train on the trail on the acquisition. And so, I mean, you're going to get a halo effect. You've got to expect that. But sometimes you can't track it and sometimes you can.
Yeah. Well, we're to the last segment. So I think this is kind of the one where you guys have shared a ton of information. Now you get to unload a little bit, share something. I feel like, Jen, you have something teed up around TikTok, maybe. But segment 5 is CX Mythbuster, something that, either a myth you hear all the time, something you think that's a hot take, just something you want to share. I'll start with you, Jen, because I feel like maybe we teed it up earlier. I don't know. Maybe you've changed your mind through the conversation,
I
but
have a lot of feelings about TikTok Shop and its longevity and its power. It's my hot take. First of all, total disclaimer. It's my opinion only. I feel like it's really incredibly difficult to control the customer experience of customers that you have that are coming to you and to your brand through TikTok Shop. I feel like there's a major disconnect between the way you manage, like the way a person manages that actual store and
Mhm.
then manages the rest of their business. Even if you have it tied to your Shopify store, there's just like the way the communication works is broken. You can't easily message a customer about something without having to log into like three different things and then, do like five different MFAs and then somebody has to approve it. And I think the way TikTok Shop's structured right now is a dead end. I think there are brands that are putting so much money into it in the hopes that something goes viral that we're just wasting a huge amount of money on a channel that number one is still in flux. I mean, I think there was just like another 90-day extension
90
granted
extension, yeah.
on it. So creators don't necessarily want to commit to creating in this channel right now because they're nervous about it. Customers don't necessarily feel super confident in their purchases that they're going to get it because what if TikTok Shop gets shut down before their order ships or I mean they don't know where it comes from. So to me it's like I feel like I would absolutely pull the plug on TikTok Shop today until there's some finality to what is going to happen in the future with that channel.
I think we can get a hot take because I feel like Logan, I mean, you guys were early adopters of TikTok Shop. I think I agree a little bit with what you're saying, Jen, especially around like the uncertainty. And I feel like
Mhm.
my TikTok experience, and I'm on TikTok all the time, I'm really bad, has shifted to almost like an Etsy, it feels like. Like a
Fair.
lot of the products that I'm being surfaced, which it might just be my For You page, feel like they're very like small mom and pop companies, like people who are like maybe almost reselling like a
Mhm.
Timu type product, and but I would say 6 8 months ago, I mean, Wyze was all over my TikTok shop, and Beach Waver and Dagny Dover and all these big brands that were really investing in it were maybe some of these early adopters of it. I don't know, Logan, what are your thoughts around that? And then is there a myth you'd like to bust?
I agree and disagree. I agree. I think TikTok Shop or TikTok as a company, ByteDance, I mean, they're massive, and the U.S. market is their small market. I was actually in China this year visiting our offices over there, and we are a U.S. company, but we've got people down in Shenzhen and up in Beijing.
Mhm.
And when we were down in Shenzhen, we got to go to some of the top Chinese TikTok brands, and they had 6 live studios going at a time. And they were doing very, very well. So I believe that the social buying and social selling is coming and getting bigger than ever. I think that we will start buying more and more off of that. And we'll have to learn to transition from trusting someone we've never met that says something and we believe them, especially about supplements and
Yeah.
healthcare related. But I see it all the time. People are like, oh, yeah. Like they said, this person I've never met says this is good for me. I'm totally going to buy it and do it. We'll learn to kind of get around that. And that'll be a whole hurdle and thing. But I do believe that this is a shift that's coming because we see it happening in other cultures and countries right now. But I completely agree with Jennifer on it's a mess right now. Like TikTok, working with them feels like we're not working with a company as big as they are. It feels like we're working with a startup, and it feels like their APIs are messy, and we're getting constant issues with fraud, like stuff that like
Mhm.
big site like Shopify has addressed years and years ago. I
Yeah.
feel like, and it makes it very painful. It makes it very expensive, but
Mhm.
there's no doubt for us that it's been a really good sales channel. We've seen a shift in the sales channel to beauty and consumables off of electronics a little bit. But we're learning and we're pivoting and we're getting to be where we're seeing a good, solid channel for us. Not as big as we were, though, when we were early adopters of
Mhm.
TikTok. I mean, I remember selling 20,000 units of our main product in a week,
Do you
just
live stream?
consistently.
I'm just curious, like, does live
Yeah, we're
stream
live every day,
or is it advertising or influencer?
all of it.
Okay.
It's the
Yeah,
whole
I
package.
would I would
Yeah,
scroll and I would see TikTok live, or on TikTok live there'd be a guy from
Mhm.
Wyze just
yeah,
showcasing
we're live
candles
every
and
day.
doing.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah,
Talk
but
about
we're not as
that's
big.
basically the Home Shopping Network, just
Yeah,
in a
it is.
Uh
digital format,
huh.
right? We're
Yeah.
like,
Uh huh.
look at
That's
this
right, and
thing.
that's
Buy it.
what's changing though, and Amazon sees it. That's why Amazon Live is there, and they're
Mhm.
getting better and better, even though it's not nearly as adopted as the social platform.
Mhm.
And Amazon's been rumored that like, hey, we would like TikTok.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
think antitrust might prevent that, but in the end, yeah, I guess the myth that I would bust is that it's easy to sell on TikTok. It's
Mm.
not at all. It's expensive. It's hard. We've dumped every single dollar we've made and more back in for the growth. We again have this unfair advantage that after they buy on TikTok, we're able to know them because
Yeah.
TikTok doesn't share
Mhm.
their customer information with you. You get an address to ship a product to, but that's it.
Yeah.
And so, but they'll activate the product, so we get a little bit more ability to know them. But yeah, all in all, it's way hard, and it creates CX issues to no end. It's so hard to communicate with them.
Mm.
It's like with the customer through
Yeah.
Yeah.
that. So yeah, I guess
And
that's
I think
all.
too, people can latch onto your product and all of a sudden you have brand ambassadors that weren't selected by your marketing team,
And
right? That are
sometimes they say crazy stuff that you
yes,
don't
that are
want them to
speaking
say.
about your products that are, I see that in the health and beauty side of things
Yeah.
where
Yeah, it's
people,
less for electronics. We see it in health and beauty too,
yeah.
like crazy.
Well, hey, you guys, I appreciate this. This was super informative. I learned a ton on this. I think this has been a good one for me. If people want to connect with you on LinkedIn, I know you both are active on LinkedIn. I think this episode will probably come out after your trip to New York, but keep an eye out for Jennifer walking the conference floor somewhere, or Logan. Feel free to reach out, and if you have a booth, make sure that you come prepared when you see them walk up with your answers. Don't put somebody who doesn't know how to answer the stuff in front of them. But thanks again, you guys, for joining. I really appreciate it.
Yep.
Thanks for having us.
I was guilty of the New Year's resolution purchase as well. That's why I kept trying to buy the Wyze scale at the beginning of the year. And I'm surprised Logan didn't just text me back and be like, you idiot, it's January, you're never going to get a scale. My CX hot take is that Labubus aren't that cute.
I'm on board with that.
I mean, Minnesota just got like a Pop Mart vending machine.
It's just Beanie Babies all over again.
It is.
Don't invest in them. Don't do it.